Good morning, everybody. What's up, Houston? How are you guys? Thanks for coming out this morning. You know, I like to do this. We'll jump right into it. Who's got the first question? Go ahead, Joe.
Questions for Gray Maynard first. During the countdown show, you mentioned that you don't want to talk about this fight. You're tired of talking this fight. You don't want to have any small talk. And we're 3 days away from this fight. What's your mindset right now heading into this bout?
I feel good. I'm prepared, and that's where I feel as if I'm prepared. So I'm good. I'm not like, oh, I don't know if I did this right. I don't know if I did that right. Everything is all done. It's about time to have fun.
Question for Frankie. The record shows you're 0-1-1 against Gray. What do you believe that you have to prove to everyone that this guy does not have your number?
Yeah, I don't think he has my number. I think the last fight showed that. If he won last time, yeah, then I'd say, he had my number. But I just got to win. I go in there, I win this fight. I put that to rest.
Dana, can you talk about the main event? Because there's been so many guys on hold waiting for title shots that we're finally might get some resolution to this division.
Yeah, nothing sucks worse than a draw. I hate it. And it's finally here. We can get this fight behind us and get some of these fights going on in the 55-pound division too. Like you said, it's stacked. There's tons of talent waiting for a title shot. More talent coming, and we'll get it going here after Saturday. Go ahead.
Question for Chael. Chael, I think right before you came in, we heard you say on the video that you kind of struggled with this fight when you were first offered it, didn't know what to do. I was just hoping, could you detail that? Were you ever thinking you might ask for another fight or turn this down?
Oh, I mean, look, nobody wants to fight Brian Stann. I'm not the only guy, and that's not a big secret, but our paths are going to cross sooner or later. He keeps beating people up, and so that's just the way it goes. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't, Brian's not going to get called out by anybody, and I'm no exception to that.
And I guess kind of the obligatory question, when a guy's been off this long, are you worried at all about how the layoff is going to affect you in this fight?
I've accepted it. I think ring rust is a real thing. I've accepted it, and I'll have to deal with it.
And just lastly for Brian, Brian, a lot of people look at this fight and think, Chael, strong wrestler, is probably going to come in there and try to take you down. I'm wondering how much you've worked on your wrestling and you feel like you've improved in that area.
Well, fortunately, I started working on my wrestling quite a bit 2 years ago, and it's been, probably the heaviest trained art in my training camps for the last 2 years, for obvious reasons. So if I tried to just train wrestling for the last 10 weeks, then I wouldn't have a chance against him. But luckily, I've been hitting it hard for the last 2 years, and I don't have to out-wrestle him out there on Saturday night. I think sometimes when odds makers and people keep telling me about this fight and how big a long shot I am, I think people forget that, I even went back to my bout agreement and checked, but I can punch in this fight, so I feel good.
Para Florian, ¿qué tipo de pelea crees que la gente va a ver este fin de semana? La pregunta para Aldo y para Florian.
Yo creo que.
Will you tell us what he said and then?
Okay. He said that what kind of fight do I expect against Aldo on Saturday night, and yo creo que va a ser una pelea muy difícil. Que Aldo es muy rápido y tengo que pelear muy bien y creo que voy a salir con sangre, con todo, pero voy a salir con el título.
Now tell us what you said.
I was just saying it's going to be a tough fight, that Aldo's dangerous, and expect it's going to be a bloody fight. I'm going to leave there bloody, but I'm going to leave there with the belt.
Kenny, stay on just for you for 1 second. There's an overgrowing feeling that this could be your last stand with the UFC, but I'm sure on your side, this is a new chapter perhaps beginning. What do you say to the critics of that?
I don't really see it that way. You know what? I'm fortunate that I love what I do. I love going to the gym every day and learning, and I love the challenges. I've been in the UFC a long time, and I think just to be able to do that has been a blessing, and I want to compete against the best guys, and that's what I have here on Saturday night, and I'm going to go out there and get it done. You know, this has been an excellent training camp, and I feel that it's my time.
For Jose, can you talk about Kenny Florian? What did you see in his debut at 145 that showed something different than when he was fighting at 155? And can you break him down as an opponent?
O que você viu diferente quando ele estreou na categoria 66 de quando ele lutava no 71 e o que você vê nele como adversário?
Acho que nenhuma, a diferença não foi nenhuma, ele soube bater bem um peso e fez uma luta bastante dura, como ele fez no 5-5 na categoria de cima. Acho que é isso, para mim ele não sentiu tanta diferença, mas agora vamos ver agora, né? Agora eu vou procurar fazer uma luta bastante explosiva e vamos ver no que vai dar.
I think he looked about the same at 145 as he did at 155. He seemed to be able to make the weight pretty well that week, and he seemed strong and put on a good fight. And I'm just hoping to go out there and keep the pressure on him.
And Dana, can you talk about the co-main event? We've got one of the sport's pound-for-pound best against a guy that's been around the sport for a very long time.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Jose Aldo is a finisher. He comes in to either take your legs out or knock you out. He's 100% the whole time that he's in there, and so is Kenny Florian. I'm not going to get into, everybody knows what I've said about Kenny in title fights. I want to see Kenny prove me wrong on this one.
Kenny, I know how focused you are about Jose, but I was just wondering, since you were kind of a staple in the lightweight division for so many years, if you could talk about the main event and kind of the matchup between Gray and Frankie.
It's an awesome fight, You look at that last fight and just all the drama that happened in that fight, Frankie getting dropped and coming back like he did was unbelievable. And very, very close fight. And, as a fan, it's a fight that I want to see. And both these guys are very, very evenly matched. And, I'm lucky I get to go first. I'm going to watch them fight right after me, so I can't wait. Both these guys always come to fight, and it's going to be an unbelievable main event.
And question for Gray. Gray, I know how much this means to you and how much you want to bring back the belt for yourself, but how much would it mean to kind of your whole team, your gym? I mean, it's really one of the places people think about MMA, and you guys, I know, haven't had a champion in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Couture, he was the last one. Long road, and it's a team thing, so it'll be cool.
Dana David Barron from the Houston Chronicle to your right. You said 4 years ago when you were here that you thought the UFC was making moves toward getting into the mainstream. To what degree has UFC continued to move into mainstream, and to what degree has the mainstream moved toward you? And what is the potential impact in both areas as your new deal with Fox goes into effect next year?
Yeah, obviously since the last time we were here, we've grown a lot. Right now we're in 155 different countries in 22 different languages and 500 million homes worldwide. Since we were here last time, we've taken the event pretty much all over the world, from Australia to the Middle East to Germany to Brazil, and we're going to continue to take it to new places that we've never been. And like you said, our Fox deal is definitely the next level for us. We're on November 12th is our first. It's like a bonus fight. Our deal with Fox doesn't start till January. That's when everything goes. We go on every Fox network starting in January, and we're nowhere else. And just in, we signed the deal I think in September, and just in the short time that we signed this deal with these guys, they've already been the best partners we've ever had. I mean, they're running spots in the NFL for the fight. They're running pay-per-view spots, which they don't need to do. That's not even part of the deal. And the deal doesn't go into effect till January. So the way that I look at this thing, we've been given the opportunity now to go mainstream. We got a lot of work to do over the next 2 years once we get on this network.
And I think one reason you came here 4 years ago, because this has been a reasonably successful market for you in terms of television ratings. Does Houston continue to be a good market for you in that regard, or where does it rank among
Absolutely.
the top 10 markets?
It's huge. Yeah, no, this market's huge for us. There's a lot of places down here in Texas that are big for the UFC. Again, we proved it again coming back here, and we're going to be back here a lot, and this thing's going to continue to grow. So like I said it 4 years ago. I said it 7 years ago, I said it 10 years ago. This thing's going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, when we do this first fight on Fox November 12th, millions of people that have never seen the UFC before will watch that night. And one of the things that does happen is once you get introduced to this sport, you become addicted to it. Thank you.
I have a question for Chael. After you made compliments to Anderson for beating Okami, a few Brazilian fighters started to repeat again that you're not this so controversial guy that you look, and then just marketing. I'd like you to please comment on that.
Well, I'm not completely sure. Look, I'm out trying to pick a fight, and I'm not making any qualms about it. I've been after Anderson for some time, and that's it. And, you know, my beef isn't just with Anderson. I got a beef with everybody else in the back that all want a title fight, and they all call and beg Dana for a title fight. I've never told Dana I want a title fight. I told him I want the title. And it's a big difference between me and everybody else. I'm not scared of that guy. I'm not going to apologize to that guy. And I do appreciate what the Brazilian people said, and a lot of that was said in good fun. But the bottom line is I'm sticking my finger in his chest, I'm picking a fight, and I'm not going to quit.
Question for Aldo. Aldo, queria que você comentasse, por favor, a diferença na preparação para o UFC do Canadá, para esse UFC, parece estar mais leve, né? E como que você chega para outro treino?
The question was, what's the difference between the last fight that he had in Toronto, that whole week with the expo and everything going on, and this week seems a little more relaxed for you?
Essa vez eu acho que preparei bem melhor, acho que na outra todo mundo achou um pouco que eu cansei no quinto round, lógico que eu não estava cansado, mas nessa preparação agora o Dedé fez bastante forte a preparação em cima disso. E eu cheguei mais leve por causa que o clima também está ajudando, né? Então é isso, quanto mais quente, melhor para nós perder o peso.
My preparation was great for the last fight, but it was a little bit heavier, so it was harder to cut that weight. And over here in Houston is a lot hotter than Toronto, so it's easier to make that weight cut. And my coach has been on me this whole week to make that cut a lot easier this time.
For Chael over here. What a ride it's been since the last time we saw you at a press conference. What's it like to finally be back and fight week and all that, and the fight's just a few days away? What's it like for you?
You know, it didn't feel like all that long for me, and I got put in timeout for a while, but I'm back, and you know, I'll deal with it. You know, that's the way it goes. I've been in government for a long time, and when people are above you, you sit there and you shake it off and you come back. But you know, the next fight is always the next fight, and there's no telling when that's going to be. You know, whether you're lucky and it's 3 months away like it's supposed to be, or you've got to wait a little bit. That's the way it goes. But I'm not the only one. You know, Frankie and Gray have been out for 10 months too. You know, and you just got to deal with it. And I don't ever sit back. I've never been the victim. I'm not going to complain. I'll deal with what comes and take care of business to the best of my ability.
Questions for Brian. During the Countdown show, you mentioned that Saturday night you're going to knock out Chael Sonnen, but the only time he's ever been in real trouble in that type of situation, if I'm not mistaken, was against Terry Martin a long time ago. I think it was the corner that stopped that fight. What do you bring to this fight that you believe that you can knock this guy out?
Well, you know, there's a couple things. When I watch his last couple of fights, I think the guys that he's fought against really believed in what they were already good at. They didn't train in certain positions that Chael is really the best at. He's the best at putting people in certain positions where he dominates them. And if you look at his entire body of work, I have yet to find a fight where he got beat up in. Even the fights he lost, it's usually he just got caught while he was beating the other guy up. And there's no qualms about it, and that's what attracted me to this fight so much is that challenge. I think I am a bigger, stronger, faster athlete than these other guys he's fought in those positions. I feel like I'm the best prepared athlete to fight him specifically that he's fought in a long time, and I know I can hit harder. And so, you know, where he's been tested in every aspect of the sport, he hasn't fought me yet. And there's no unwinnable fights. And it's not always about who the better fighter is. It's about who fights the best at that moment in time. And come Saturday, that's what I plan to do.
Chael, the last time we spoke, you said you wanted an easy fight, and the UFC disagreed, and they brought in the Marines, and you followed that up by saying that you can't break this guy. This guy can't be broken. But surely there's going to be some way where you have to break Brian Stann on Saturday night to win this fight. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, I don't know that I got to break Brian Stann. I think we're just going to go out and fight. He'll bring his skills. I'll bring mine. We'll shake hands when it's over and live with the result. But I do what I do. I'm not going to beat myself. I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to back down. And I don't need him to either. I'll keep putting him down, and I'll keep knocking him down on my own. Or it'll go the other way. I've been on that side of it too. That's the business we're in. But, regardless of what he says, regardless of what I say, regardless of what he feels, regardless of what I feel, I'll make that walk. When that guy in the shark suit gets out of the ring and the guy with the dreadlock says fight, I will.
I'd like to address this question about Frankie and Gray. If you guys can, going back to the last fight, talk about a little bit about what you learned about the other guy through the 5 rounds of war. What did you learn about Gray and Gray? What did you learn about Frankie that maybe you didn't know before?
Yeah, he's a tough kid, I mean, he came back off that, and even I was amazed.
Yeah, I knew Gray's a good fighter. Got a lot of abilities, a lot of skills, and he definitely came with the heat, and that's probably the biggest thing. He really put the pressure on me in that first round, and just how he was able to stay in after the whole 5 rounds. After going pretty hard in that first round, and I bounced back pretty hard, and he came right back with it. So just his testament of his toughness as well.
This question for Chael. Chael, coming back now, you seem a little lower key than we're used to hearing you. I'm wondering, did you ever have any kind of self-doubts about everything that you went through? Any self-doubts about coming back? And if so, how did you sort of get back to where you are now and ready to fight?
Yeah, I think there's always doubts. There's no position in the octagon that I'm comfortable in. I'm never secure out there. Every day I try to get better at everything. A little stronger, a little faster, a little better shape. So yeah, there's always doubts. That's part of it. What fun would this be if you knew the outcome? What fun would this be if it wasn't all on the line? That's how I want it. I love dealing with that adversity. I love going to the ring hurt or sick or tired and trying to figure out how to win anyway. That's just the way it goes, I saw the ride and I bought a ticket anyway, so I'm on board for it. I don't care.
Just for you, Dana. I mean, Frankie and Gray, there are 2 fights in. Should Frankie win on Saturday night, but it goes to a decision, it's not a convincing victory, it'll be 1-1-1. What would you do after that?
Put it behind us. Move on. This division is stacked with tons of talent. And, there's a lot of good fights to make at 155. This whole draw has been a logjam in the 55-pound division. And I'm sure both of these guys will want to move on and get back to business.
But I wanted to be here first. I don't want to move on too quick.
Dana, I was hoping I could take you back to the night at 125. And right after the Frankie and Gray's fight ended, before you heard the decision, I was wondering if you scored it, or did you have any sense of what way the decision was going to go that night?
God, I don't even remember that night and how I scored it. I just remember going, oh my God, draw, and then at the press conference, what I do remember is when I said, yeah, we're gonna make another fight, and how upset he was, and that he really wanted this fight again, and so we did. Felt he deserved it, so we made this fight, and like I said, do this on Saturday, and then move on. Any more questions? Yeah.
For Brian, Chael mentioned before he said he does believe in ring rust, and regardless of that, I know you're probably expecting him to be at his best, but I don't know if you believe in ring rust too. Do you believe you have an advantage because you've been more active than him lately?
I think there's definitely a rhythm to fighting, and the mental side of it. I feel like I have an advantage because he's been out for a little while. But in all honesty, looking at all his past performances, I don't expect there to be any ring rust. I mean, he's been wrestling his entire life. He's been fighting since I was in high school, and he's been dominating guys in this sport since I was in high school. In fact, Chael was the ringside announcer for my first ever pro fight. I don't even think he remembers, but I remember actually meeting him there, and he was actually very kind and respectful to a guy who was 0-0 at the time. So I don't expect ring rust to be a factor, and I expect Chael to go out there and do what Chael does, and it's my job to go out there and negate that and come out with a win. But regardless, you know, you're going to see two guys that go in there, and we're going to fight for the entire 15 minutes. We're not going to stop, and no matter how much respect we share between each other, we won't stop hitting each other until that last bell rings. Then we'll take a picture for you afterwards.
Do you remember that fight?
Yeah, I remember it really well. I remember where I met him. He fought a guy named Aaron Stark, who was my teammate. He stopped him in the first round, and we met afterwards. And I remember where we were standing and everything. He was very nice back.
Aw, this is awesome. Any other questions? No? All right, I'm going to rip this out of here. We'll get these guys in here for some pictures. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming. We appreciate it.
Knock him out, Frankie!